Folks, what we saying, that's me calm down from that 25 minutes. It was an insane dose. I've not been using Snapchat or TikTok because I'm on an NRM, and it's very difficult to talk about what I've been going through. So right, okay, so the hair thing that I'm talking about, there's the 2 patches that were taken. It goes to about here and clearly here. That's something that doesn't run in my family. My dad had the same hair as me until he was about 37, 38. Then it started to fade a little bit, a couple of greys, kept it till 43 or something, and then it started to fade. It was only after 2016, and my numbers are probably off, but it was only after 2016, the date is not, that his head started to get this shape. Maybe 2018, he would get this and this. He was bald anyway, after he shaved his head, but when it would come in, this bit and this bit would be gone. It doesn't run in our family. Can I prove that? No. Could you maybe prove lasering or something later? Who knows? It's very unattractive. I'm going to explain something. My hair goes to this. It took a lot of work to get it where it is right now. You can't really see it on camera. I'm surprised the lighting's even holding up. Let me have a look in this. This is after it's dried and has been combed numerous times, so I shouldn't complain. I'm not delusional. I know I've not been deboned in the face, so to speak. That's another relevant thing. These bits appear often. You can see them there. That's my natural face and my shape. Natural shape of my face, like this. When I smile, I have like parts here. It's quite an attractive look. I liked it. It gets taken away often. I'm going to explain a little thing about what I'm receiving interference right now from this antipsychotic thing. I've typed about it lots, and I can't upload long videos either, so I'm in a rush, but they always fail to connect, etc. But what I'm trying to explain is I'm about to blow the lid on an entire paedophile network that spans from Inverness to Aberdeen, the Magician Circle paedophiles of the 80s, 90s, 90s. When they took the Bitcoin, they achieved a lot of power. But yeah, they were called the Magician Circle in Aberdeen. You can look it up if you want. They're predominantly the ones that are continuing with this around the world. They achieved success, their youth, etc. But this spans from Inverness, Aberdeen, Edinburgh, down to London. It involves doctors, nurses, lawyers, judges, police, detectives, civilians in the street, multinationals, an entire place that I don't even believe is London, and I know that's something that they'll try and section me again for, so we'll leave it there and keep delusions out of this. But when I talk about this scandal, it transcends hospitals, courts, police stations, cities, civilians, community centres, care homes, the NRM, the Home Office, Parliament, the entire Jamaican Windrush community, of which they're all aware of, by the way. They're aware of what their parents were up to and things, they just never talk about it and they just continue. Again, this is a very confused video. I don't really make videos, and I'm struggling with I don't make videos with a plan. I don't have flashpoints or a fucking PowerPoint. Do you know what I mean? It's not how I do it. So with the new drugs that they're using, it is very difficult to freestyle lots of information without mental interference from what I believe to be some form of drug within my blood. That's the only way I could ever explain it. I've been talking about it since 2019 or something, documenting it since 2021, the blood of the British. I wake up every single night. I'm not sure if it's the kidney or the spleen, you know, like these parts are not like immediate area. You know, like when the center of your spine at the bottom, you get a sore bit there. It's like the kidneys or the spleen or the liver. Each night I wake up with each side of a mortally painful wound. And I don't mean a throbbing on the inside, I mean an ache like it has been poked repeatedly. When I'm leaning against this wall, as an example, I feel pokes in my neck every hour on the hour, through the floor pokes every hour on the hour. Am I claiming that's the case? You'd have to presume what I mean. Is it logical? Not right now, it isn't. But I'll tell you one thing, there's a moon in the sky during the day, all year, all summer anyway, in the UK, no matter where you go. I mean, it doesn't take, if this message gets out to what I believe to be other people, surely someone can knock up a model of why you do not get a moon in the day, then at night, that would imply there's two moons, or it would imply that it is not circulating the Earth. It's not it is not going around the Earth. If you're seeing it at night and during the day, that would mean there was two moons, unless it's going somewhat like this. That is not the UK. But it is what it is. Again, I believe this is an entire false society of individuals that poke you in the street. I believe it's made to be somewhat lifelike to the UK, if not identical. I noticed a few things when I was in Inverness, irregularities. This is what I'm trying to talk about as well. I'm not sure how my speech is becoming slurred and things like that, but it seems again to happen in my sleep. It could be something to do with a lump. There's a metal clump on the back of my tongue, and the roof of my mouth is sometimes scraped, and I whistle my words. And yeah, by unknown means, I'm lisping and stammering out my words. It's not something that I've ever done or been. I'm not nervous in any way. I know I'll defeat them, and I'm defeating them currently. So yeah, entire societies that are bred to poke people with syringes, etc., and cause immense rage until you commit a crime and can be locked away forever. At which point maybe you get transported back to the real UK and hey-ho, Bob's your uncle. But yeah, apart from all the madness that's within that, you need to remember that I'm dealing with British intelligence right now, and other if I'm not in the UK. So you have to fathom that I'm dealing with the best on the planet. Every psychologist that is paid for psyops and all things like that, I am facing all of them, given that there was 10,000 million in governmental debt owed to me and Stevie Smith. They stole 100,000 Bitcoin. The transaction remains 2016. The 25th of March 2016, although it was February, but check it on the internet. That transaction, 50,000 Bitcoin, 2016, 17.5 million injected into the blockchain, never ever mentioned. And then precisely a year later, on the 25th of March 2017, some genius said, we'll double that transaction on the same day. So we ain't dealing with the smartest individuals, but the psychologists are peak, you know what I mean? So am I really, is the moon real? Do you understand in the day? Because it's not normal for the UK, obviously. Like I said, it would imply there's two moons, right? It's just circling twice, night and day. So yeah, is the moon real, first and foremost? Has anyone else in this region ever taken a photo of it? Like, even the people that are here, I mean, like, has anyone said, that's weird, why is there a moon? Or has anyone ever taken a selfie with the moon? I've never seen it in either direction. Am I being poked through the walls? Who knows? This is a solid wall. You wouldn't want to harm it, do you know what I mean? How could that be achieved? Well, there's a lot of ways. It could be micro holes, just drill holes, outright drill holes, people poking through it. Or it could be something in my blood. It could be some kind of radiation, poisoning. I get dental on my stomach every time I sleep as well. My eyes go extremely pinpoint every morning, to the point that you look like an insect or an alien, and you spew out this chemically tasting bile every morning. So yeah, maybe it's something to do with that. It's in my blood and it spikes right the same points, and you just presume you're being poked, you know what I mean? In the street it might be the same, but again, there is a moon in the sky. So yeah, this is probably why I'm on such a train of thought about things that are unproven and things that will be deemed easy to spin. So I'll put it clear and true to you. I have all the evidence I need to blow the rafters on a domestic pedophile network that spans the entirety of the UK and has followed me. And the only reason I had to mention Bitcoin is to explain the purpose of why they're doing it to an adult who's intelligent, when they were rendered unintelligent. So yeah, that's the relevance of it for context. Other than that, it's just a network of people that have been defeated because I don't like pedophiles, you know what I mean? So yeah, I've been looking at, when I was in Lambeth Hospital, which is why I'm looking this up today, which I have been, there's been numerous rape scandals and cover-ups by staff. If you look at the Eden ward, EDEN ward, you'll see that they outright covered up for a year a brutal raping by two black men on a transgender woman, by the way, a woman on a man's ward. And their claim was, day one, that she couldn't have been raped because there was no men on the ward when it was a man's ward. And when they were trying to get the records from him, like I am, there was an internal memo leaked where they said, don't give them any more, implying a cover-up, do you understand? And 2016 it all came out. I've been looking it up today. So that's the Lambeth section hospital. I was raped nightly while I was in there. I've posted the videos of immense amounts of blood coming from my anus nightly over the course of a week while I was dragged to sleep every night, and the violence and abuse from staff. I had on my deleted Google Drive, which is not permanently deleted until December 2026, which is why I'm contacting the Met immediately. I'm meeting with them on Saturday. I have evidence much more than that, going 5 years back. It's not going to be a hard task for the Met to pull the drive and go through the evidence because it hasn't yet been deleted, which is funny to me because they've delayed by a week, even though it was a category 1 response is what they told me. They'd be here in an hour, but they rescheduled for Saturday. So yeah, raped repeatedly and drugged repeatedly in Lambeth Hospital 2022. If you rewind from that, while I was unlawfully detained in St John's in Edinburgh, while trying to flee the country due to the evidence I had gathered on the police of Scotland prior to that, of sexual abuse and persecution. They illegally arrested me, sectioned me to St John's. I was taken to New Craig's, where I was sexually abused in 2017, with all records being removed. It was actually 2016, which is when the Bitcoin was stolen. The notes are entirely fake, that's been proven already. I've already subject access requested them. But that was that. So while I was in New Craig's in 2022, before Lambeth, the sexual abuse ramped up when I was orally raped every single night. I presumed in the complaints forms that there was a strong smell of semen on every human, like an aerosol or something. Now that I'm more compos mentis, it was clear that it was in my nostrils and my throat, and that's where the smell and the aroma came from. That was every day for 56 days. It was just drugs in St John's. Funny story there as well. In 2023, when I came back from Istanbul and was arrested from the flight from my European endeavours, trying to seek asylum, without going into too many specifics, such as the irregularities of taking me to Govan police station instead to the court in Inverness at 1 in the afternoon, and then illegally remanding me to Berlini, where I was in a solitary confinement cell for 4.5 months, which breaches Mandela law. And I was raped nightly. I remember being drugged and in a haze and then coming in with a small gas mask, like a little oxygen thing for divers, not a big one. Not remembering anything. Absolutely raped every single night. I don't remember it too much. It was always in some form of a haze, but I remember the feelings in my anus. I remember all of it. It was very, very brutal. After the 4.5 months in the solitary confinement with absolutely nil except a suicide gear, and pissed on food, like you can imagine, very, very frail and skinny, especially after my European endeavour. They were not happy one bit, not with me. They know what's coming. But after that, I went back into Gen Pop. I said, okay, you win. I've done my 4.5 months. I'm ready. Not one cunt done fuck all. I was on 4 times food every single day for 3 weeks. I was getting 4 salad boxes and a main meal because cunts love me in there. I'm not sure what wing you had me on, but I'm sure you'll pay for it later. You know what I mean? So the abuse continued in 2023. Now, when I was in Berlin, it was alleged I had 2 cases. One was for a Misuse of Drugs Act, which the police of Scotland are currently trying to get me on a double jeopardy charge for culpable homicide. And the other one was for a threatening or abusive behaviour, so we'll cut that and we'll go back. On the 24th of January 2022, due to the fact the SNP and Holyrood, which is the main governmental building of Scotland, used their own line on an open line, phoned me and asked how much I wanted in cash. I said, hang on a minute, because I didn't want to record the number. So I pushed record. I said, how much do you want to offer me? I believe this is illegal. The guy became confused and said, we'll give you 100 million in Scottish notes if you delete it. The sexual abuse evidence I had gathered. That was on January 10th, I believe, when I uploaded it. It was under the call VIP and then the time and date. One of those ones. So when they arrested me for threatening and abusive behaviour charge, they illegally arrested me, 15 officers, 4 police cars and a van for little old me, and illegally seized the phone, deleted all the drive's evidence, and I never ever got it back because I refused to plead guilty. At which point, on the 24th, it was the 24th, did I say the 22nd? That's the irregularity on the paperwork from Police Scotland. On the 24th at 8:27 a.m. was the time on their clock. They put me in a police cell, 4 of them, with the cuffs behind my back. Absolutely splattered me stone cold, put me on the floor. My hands were behind my back and they made an incision on my right arm. They must have placed something into my artery. It was a mortal pain, 10 out of 10 for about 3.5 minutes. It felt like hours. I called them all the names under the sun and was not broken. When the cuffs came off and I thought it was over, they walked away again. And when the cuffs came off, I looked at my wound, and it was a straight incision that looked like a wet scar, you know what I mean, a cold scar. And I began laughing into hysterics. I looked up and seen that it was a gas ventilation thing. There was no smell, none of that, but I was laughing into hysterics. My wrist was about 8 times the size that it should be. I was going to die, clearly. It was very, very painful, and the pain subsided. I laughed more and more until I was rendered unconscious on the floor. When I woke up from the floor, immediately I checked my arm. It was just throbbing extensively with immense pain. The blood was pooling around the wound. It was all dark and purple, not bruised. And the incision was then zigzagged. So they had altered it somehow when I was unconscious. At which point they had came into the cell, 2 of them, and then brutally beat me with their stick and done things to me with it. And I don't know why I'm afraid to mention that now. They raped me with the stick and held my head down in such a severe manner that when I was released from the police station, I had my subject access request refused, etc. Went to the hospital to get my wrist scanned, at which point they scanned my hand. For example, they said, put your hand flat, and I said, okay, kept it as a fist, and they showed me it, and they showed me my hand flat. I said, that's not my wrist, mate, I didn't do that, which was strange. Also, subject access requested the footage. That was never ever complied with, and the footage was deleted because the cell had a fucking camera in. That's why it was strange to me. But yeah, where were we? I'm on 17 minutes. I was thinking about the timing that it won't upload. Yeah, so when I got back to Berlin, both cases were settled with a mental health verdict. I was sectioned. I was in New Craig's Hospital again after being unlawfully detained, with them failing to pay just satisfaction. I was sexually abused nightly. I put in numerous complaints forms to the point that I phoned 101 because I had woke up with bloody boxers, blood trailing down my leg all the way to the toilet, at which point the entire bowl was red. It was quite clear that my first dose of sleeping medications resulted in them raping me fully. I phoned the police. They've never released the call, an entire cover-up. My medical records, no mention of it, even though the phone call existed, even though the police attended 24 hours later. None of it was ever mentioned. These are all things that are confirmed. Yeah, I'm sorry, that's 18 minutes. That's just a little thing for today. I was trying to talk about my face. I think it looks alright. Bish bash bosh, let's get it.